Hello, Trekkies and Trekkers. Welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Trek Tuesday. I'm your host, Orinda, and together with Amanda Hopper, we recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek TNG. All the episodes will be recapped and chronically following. We will approach each episode with humor and a feminine look. Today we recap the episode A Measure of a Man. A listener's note. I just have a new family member, which is a puppy Sprocker Spaniel, so you can hear the puppy sounds in the background. Well, guys, let's talk to Amanda again. Hello, Amanda.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Had a pretty good weekend there. Sunday, it was plus 10 on Sunday, which was real nice weather. And it was nice, so I didn't have to wear my jacket when I was out delivering my packages that I do. And then it got cold later in the evening, of course. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. Still working on my diamond kits, as you know, because I post a lot of pictures of them.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, our puppy, the Sprocker Spaniel, is growing very hard. He is, tomorrow he will be, when this recording he will already will be, or when this ad, he will be already 13 weeks, so, but he's growing fast. He is,
Oh, yes, they do grow fast.
When he, since his 10th week, he has his growth spurt, so, not funny at times because he got growing pain and tooth pain at the moment. So.
Oh yeah, they get that with their teeth.
But okay, he's doing well, and he's settled pretty good now. So I'm happy with that. So guys, today is the one last episode of this year. Next episode is the last episode of this year, and that is the episode about the dolphin.
Oh, the Dauphin.
Yeah.
That one.
And this week's episode is A Measure of a Man, and this is an episode that I do like, and I pretty much hated the Jack officer and Bruce Maddox. Oh my god.
Oh,
I could
Maddox.
kill him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's another one that deserves to be thrown out of an airlock.
Although the Bruce Maddox in Strange New World was a quite different Maddox than we know here in TNG. But I must say, I also had the feeling with this episode that this episode they could have done more with the storyline. Not the storyline is great, but I mean, like, they could made this of a second part. You know, it's cramped up in one episode.
Yeah, they could have done a little more with the episode. You're correct about that.
So
because the episode seemed to be like really short.
Yeah, that's was the feeling that I had, and you know, it's just also like I must say what they did in that short period of time, the actor who played Bruce Maddox played his part very well. But wasn't she the Jack also? Wasn't she also not Shelby?
I don't remember. She must have been in other episodes of the Next Generation. She must have been.
Yeah, because she just recognized me like Commander Shelby, who was the first commander on Enterprise when Jean-Luc Picard was kidnapped by the Borg.
Oh, okay. Yes, I vaguely remember her now. Okay, I remember now. She does show up when he does get kidnapped by the Borg.
Yeah.
I think that's season 3 or season 4. I can't remember.
I can't remember which season that is, but I remember it was at least a two-parter, because it was like...
Yeah.
And also in that role, I hated her. But okay, we're going to recap this episode. So,
yeah,
the Enterprise went to the Starbase 173. That was the new starbase of Starfleet. And the beginning scene was with that Pulaski, Data, Jodie, O'Brien, and Riker were playing poker. And what I really like, you could say, how much in a relaxed setting they were. And in also like Data was, I think, one of the famous, I think this is one of the great thing of Data, that he used those poker nights to learn human behavior. And there was a short moment right after that Riker was bluffing Data. And Data didn't understand that. And what I'm surprised by is that Pulaski was the only woman.
Yeah, she was. Data, Riker, Pulaski, and who the heck else was it again?
Jodie and O'Brien.
Oh, Jodie and O'Brien.
And you could see
I laughed at the part where O'Brien's like, that's my seat. That's my lucky seat. Does that remind you of Sheldon Cooper?
Yeah.
Because Sean's like, no, that's my seat. That's the best spot for that window. Best bit. Just like Sheldon Cooper would do. O'Brien's like, that's my seat. That's my lucky chair.
I think
Data looked at him like he was confused.
I think this is also the episode that O'Brien get more airtime in TNG. He's becoming more regular.
Yeah, O'Brien in future episodes, he does get more airtime too in future episodes. Yeah, like in he does. O'Brien does get more scenes throughout the series too. Like in Data's Day, he gets a few more extra scenes.
So, Picard is on the Starbase itself and was meeting an old acquaintance. That was the Jack officer. I can't remember her name now, but I think it was Philippa something. And she was an old acquaintance of Picard because she also had to deal with him when he had to go to trial at the Stargazer affair. And that is also the moment that, and I don't know, there is something love and hate relation between her and Picard, because Picard said, okay, I'm still here, let me buy you dinner or something like that. And at that moment, the Admiral came down to Picard, and also with Bruce Maddox, and that was the first time we see Maddox. And his whole future and his whole face, I didn't like him right from the start.
No, I didn't like him from the start either, because when he would ride with him, he stood up like so stiff and he think he's gonna break his back.
Yeah, but
that's
also
the way he stood.
He got an air of I am this, I am that, and we see that in later in the episode when he is telling, well, I want Data under my command, and I'm going to disassemble him because I need to learn more. And then Picard said, well, I don't want to. He's a fellow member of my crew. And he is, for us, he is, I don't want to say human, but he has his own freedom to do what he wants. And Maddox came with papers and orders of Starfleet that Data had to get to him, and it was on his order now, and he could do with him as what he want to, because he was on the Bruce Maddox order now. And I really, really didn't like his whole appearance. And although he can be a very nice man in real life, but as the character of Bruce Maddox, no. I never have liked Bruce Maddox, and that's the same for Harry Mudd. If you see him, although I maybe have said this before to you guys, but the short track of Harry Mudd, of him dressing up like a woman and fooling everyone, that was brilliant. I don't know if you already have seen it, but that's brilliant.
No, I haven't seen the short treks. Are they on Prime?
Are they on Prime? Let me
Amazon?
check that for you. Let me check that for you after this when we're recording. Then I will check for you. It can be. I believe they are. But okay, I will check it for you.
Okay.
So, the Admiral says, I am looking forward for a long time this. I like to have a tour around the Enterprise, because the Enterprise is the flagship and it is a good ship, and it makes his name true like his disasters. So he did that, and while the Admiral was introducing Maddox, Maddox had his eyes fixed on Data, and there was that music on the background that was like very eerie, and you could feel right away, okay, this is going to be wrong.
Oh yeah, because Maddox was it's like Maddox was boring a hole right between Data's eyes, just staring at him, and the music's like bum bum bum. It's like, oh, that's freaky. And Data, you can see Data just as soon as he got on the deck, Data's just staring at him from his side eye view, and then he happens to turn around and looks at him a little bit and thinking, shite, trouble's about to happen. That's what he was thinking of Maddox, trouble.
Well, if you hear Maddox, it is trouble. None of the times. So, Maddox was saying, well, I'm going to disassemble Data. And that's the first thing he said with the crew around. And first he went like, oh, hello Data, how are you doing today? How are you feeling today? And I was thinking, you douchebag.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's a douchebag. Mr. High and Mighty Douchebag. Ah.
And I don't know if you noticed, but the first part when Maddox talked to Data, it wasn't talking to Data, but it was more about Data and in a third person. And then he told Picard, well, this and this and this is the plan. I'm a big fan of Dr. Nunez so and blah, 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 blah. But you could see that the whole bridge crew didn't trust him. And they all were, dude, Data is our friend. He is not just a machine. He is exceptional. He's unique.
Yeah, and Maddox kept calling him it. That's what he kept saying. He kept calling him it.
Yes, and although when Maddox was defeated by Picard at the end, he didn't say it, but he said him. And that was one of the greatest things, I think, to hear about what Maddox did. So, Maddox went to, with Riker, Picard, and Data to the wedding room, and Maddox tried to explain and convince them that he needed to disassemble Data because of the knowledge and he would get to make more Datas or androids or synths, if we speak in the language of Star Trek Picard. And
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest thing about that was what Data was asking him legit question about what he was planning to do. And Maddox, the moron, couldn't answer.
Yeah.
And so, in this situation, Maddox still didn't talk to Data as if he wasn't a member of the crew. And you could see that it disturbed Picard and Riker.
Yeah, it did. Because the whole time he's on there, he's not saying his rank or calling Data by his actual name. He just kept referring to Data as it. It's like, come on, man. He has a name and a rank. No, he didn't want to call him.
The only thing what was a little weird to me, and I don't know if this is because Maddox had all the papers of Nonyan Soon, but he already talked about Lore, and we only met Lore once at this point. So I'm wondering, how could he know about Lore? Did Nunyan Soon describe him or put him in the papers that he left or whatever? Or, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Or maybe the fact when they encountered him and they had it in the records of their ship, and he somehow got the records or something? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's in the Starfleet data bank.
Yeah, that could be that
computer.
too. Huh. Anyway, well, he somehow got the information about Lore.
So, Maddox tried to explain or convince Picard and Riker that Data had to go with him, and so he could do his quote unquote his life work. And Picard didn't trust him, and he said also, well, Data has his own mind and Data has his own intelligence, so it's his choice if he wants to come, yes or no. And Maddox didn't want to listen to that because he didn't see Data as something intelligent or I don't want to say human being, but yeah, it's something that is, so Maddox began to laugh, to smirk, and I was really, at that point, I really want to punch him and get that.
Same here.
To wipe that grin or smirk off his face.
Yeah, I guess we both wanted to punch that little shit-eating grin off his face.
And then Maddox had the nerve to come with a Starfleet order that Data will be on his command the next day, and so he could finish his life work. And at that moment I was also thinking, dude, you need to know Data more better, cause and
that dude didn't know jack shit about Data. You just want to almost destroy him.
Yeah, and that's what Data said too. And I really loved his how Data was talking to him and saying, well, this and this is what you can do, and if it's already going to be perfect, my part of me will be destroyed, and I'm not going to let it happen. I am unique. And so Data said, tell them I'm not going to cooperate with your experiment. And you could see that Maddox was becoming angry, etc., etc. And did you notice, by the way, that Data's skin was very grayish white in this episode? It was not the skin color we know till now of Data.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, it was a little off color. It wasn't the normal goldish yellow.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, maybe they ran out of some color or something. They just had to improvise.
Or maybe they will just were trying
Testing.
something else, because isn't that later on in the seasons, you see that Data will be coming more like grayish, whitish. Not like this, because Data is getting more like a matte skin color instead of a shiny skin color.
Oh, okay.
So
Never
there
really
was
thought of that one.
they have talked, and Picard was in his room, and he ordered Data to come in, and Picard said, well, we have a big problem, etc., etc. Data, and that's what I love about Data in this episode, they wrote Data's conversation so good, because once again, when Picard was, I don't want to say arguing with him, but Data argued a good point of with the phaser of LaForge.
Yeah.
Of saying, that was a really good point of him, and that was really, really good.
Yeah, talking about LaForge's eyes, how they be fixing them or something like that. I forget how it all went, but yeah, it was a good speech, but comparing about LaForge's eyes.
So, for the first time in Picard's life, or in Picard's career, that we see him doing this, he is going to that Jack officer, Philippa, and ask her for help, what he could do to fight this transfer of Data to Maddox. And it was, I don't know, but I think also she is one of the few who can get Picard act like this. Not only Pulaski can do it, but also she. And he had to have some kind of an attitude of, hello, it's me, Picard, and what I noticed from episodes like these, Picard is getting more and more diplomatic. Because in the beginning of TNG, we see him, he still has to find himself who Picard is. And in this episode, he becomes more diplomatic. And so, we see also a very worried Picard about Data. And he is going to fight this on. But first, Philippa says, one of the things Data can do, because he's a Starfleet officer, he can resign. And that's exactly what Data is going to do. So, we're back on the Enterprise. And we see Data packs his things. He packs up, for example, a book that Picard gave him as a friendship book. I think it was also a book of Sherlock Holmes, if I'm correct.
I think so. Maybe, I don't remember. And he also
and of course, he has the
this little hologram thingy of Yar.
Yeah. But this is, and the next scene was really out of order, and I really start hating Maddox more. Maddox just came barging in Data's room and started reading from the Sherlock Holmes book. And although Maddox was very curious about Data, he didn't have respect for him.
Oh no, you're supposed to ring the little doorbell on the outside. If he lets you in, he let you in. You don't just go barge into some random person's bedroom / apartment on the ship. You gotta ring the doorbell. Common courtesy, you ding dong.
Yeah.
Maddox, that idiot.
So
No, he just barges right in Data's office. Room,
Yeah.
whatever you call it.
I really hated it. I hated it. What you're saying is a courtesy. Everyone does that, but him, oh my god.
The courtesy, ring the bell.
So, Data tells Maddox that he resigned of Starfleet, so that is one of the reasons he's not going to comply any of Maddox's foolishness, and Data rejects him, and Maddox doesn't like it, and Maddox said, yeah, well, keep packing, tomorrow you are still are ordered in my office. And what Maddox did then, well, first we saw Picard going to Philippa again and asking, okay, what the hell can I do? Because Maddox won't let this rest. And so she's told him, is Data in this case a property of Starfleet? And right away, Picard said, I don't think so. So she said, well, I will look into this. And so let me see if this okay. Then Maddox stepped to the JAG officer, so Philippa, and he wants legal right over Data. Maddox is mad. And how he reacted also in the office of Philippa, he was mad. Not mad in angriness, but mad in scientific mad. So the next scene is that we are in 10 forward, and all Data's friends are saying goodbye to him and giving him gifts, and Data was slowly unwrapping the gifts, and that was a really funny scene because everyone's saying, why are you so slowly with that? Just rip it over. And I don't, but I must say it was really,
that was
really
kind of funny.
nice.
I liked that part too.
I really loved that scene.
Yeah, and when Wesley says that to him, saying, just rip the paper, and Data takes it, just nonchalantly just rips it in half and throws it up in the air. I was like, well, that's one way of doing it.
I
think it was
like he also did with when Data was, I think that was in another episode, and Data was also playing playing poker again with Riker, and Riker did a card trick with Data, and Data he had to pick a card and shuffle it on the deck and get some few of the cards, and then Riker said, okay, those are the cards we don't need, throw them away over your head or whatever, over your shoulder. And that was also funny. It reminds me of that scene.
Yeah, Worf gave him a book. It's a Klingon book. I forget the title, but the book dealing with Klingon.
So, Picard and Riker went to the JAG officer, Philippa, and she was telling, well, after those rules and rules of Starfleet in the 21st century, Data is property of Starfleet and cannot resign, and has to go to the transfer to Maddox. And Picard was really angry. We never seen Picard angry like that. And so Picard said, okay, I will challenge this transfer, and we will have to go to court. And Philippa said, okay, we will have a hearing, etc., etc. Okay, Picard, you will defend Data. You will be defending the council of for Data. But Riker, I know you're not going to like this, but you will be the prosecution of Data, the council of Data. And in that way, you will be speaking and trying to confirm and convince me and Starfleet that Data is a machine and isn't a property of Starfleet. And oh my gosh, poor Riker. Poor Riker. He really didn't like that. He really doesn't do that. And I think Philippa was a freaking bitch when she said, if you don't do this, Riker, I will order Data right away to transfer to Maddox, and that's the point, and that's it. I really didn't like her.
Mm-hmm. No, same here. She's like, oh, like, whoa.
I really didn't like her. And Picard tells Data that he is property of... Oh my god, he's doing a buster maneuver. Okay. Well, more that my dog is lying with his head on my chair feet. And my former dog did that exactly the same. So that's why I said
Cute.
that. Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah. Picard tells Data that he is property of Starfleet and can't resign. And this was really beautiful. And Picard was very sorrowless and sad that he had to put Data through this and that he would have to defend Data. And Data said, Captain, I'm honored that you're defending me, and I'm very confident that you will do your best. And so, this is a hearing that Data wouldn't be a... The whole point is that they will decide if Data is or not property of Starfleet. So the hearing starts, and Riker is the first one who starts the questions with Data. Data has to go to the stand, and Riker had done his research very well, and at that point I was wondering, we also know that Crusher was the one who knows Data and his cybernetics very well. And I was wondering if Pulaski...
Yeah, she knows what the shut-off point is.
Yeah. So, Riker starts to question Data, and it was not fun. I really didn't like it, and
yeah, it was pretty cringy.
Data was, Riker say, well, this and this is a steel and pipe, and Data, can you bend this? No human has this strength, blah, 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 blah. And at the first point, Riker asked that, you could see Maddox, that he was feeling victory over Picard and Data. And then Riker wants to Data's arm and explains why, and then he said, well, and then there's this, and he shut off Data. And
yeah, he says, Pinocchio is broken, he said.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, ah!
And I didn't think, you could see that Picard was taken aback because he didn't thought that Riker would be this good at his job. And of course, in one way, you could know that because Philippa, and that's why I think she would be a bitch like that. Sorry for my language, guys, but she told Riker, if you don't do your job well, I will do my job and there will be no hearing, and Data will go to Maddox no matter what. And I was thinking, what the hell are you? how can you even decide that if you don't know Data? Picard is in Tom Ford now, and he's talking with Guinan, and they talk about the hearing, and Guinan mentioned something about making Data into slavery. And I must say, when I hear that again, it was like, of course, we know how outspoken Whoopi Goldberg is about the African roots that she has and about slavery. And when she mentioned it in here, I think that is a very, very heavy subject to talk about. And well, but she mentioned it.
Wasn't she recently in the movie called Till or something like that?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I think, or was that Oprah? It might have been both of them.
I don't know. But okay. But Picard is getting the things what Guinan is talking about. So the next day it's Picard's turn to take the hearing, and of course right away he says, okay, the first person I want to go to the stand is Data. So Data comes to the stand again, and Picard getting unpack his Data's bag, and the first he showed them is all Data's medals to show them he deserves this. It's not like he's intelligent enough and he just gives this because he is too perfect in what he does. In that way he outranks the human in a way.
Yeah, like he to get those medals, he earned them. They weren't just given to him.
Yeah, exactly. And then Picard showed them the book of Sherlock he gave to him as in a friendship. And then he got the message of Stasha, and Picard asked Data to explain, and Data said, well, Captain, I really don't like to talk about that because I promised her not to. And Picard said, well, Data, I think Tasha would agree with me in this situation. You have to. And at the end of this all, you could see this is all personal things for Data. It has a meaning for Data.
Yeah, it does. Because when the Earth thing popped up, he said quietly, he's like, oh, we were intimate.
And that was a surprise for Philippa and Maddox. That Data said, well, I've been intimate with her.
Yeah, they clicked right in real quick when he said that.
Yeah. And so Picard has never pleaded this hard for somebody. We never seen him. We do see him sometimes doing this for a case or person, but I think Data was the first person he ever did this. He never have defended somebody so hard as he did for Data. And he did that later on.
Yep, he definitely fought for Data big time, real hard.
And he did it later for Worf as well. So Philippa rules that Data is a machine, but is no property of Starfleet. So he has the freedom to choose if he go to Maddox or not. And right away, Data stood up, walked to Maddox, and refused Maddox again formally. But he said, well, your theory is very intriguing and interesting, but this is my life. So, but I will help you as much as I can. And that was the first time they shook hands, and Picard was thanking Philippa, and then Data, no, it was Maddox who was talking to Philippa, and this was the first time Maddox called Data him instead of it.
Yeah, I noticed that. When I watched it, I was like, you actually are getting better at being friendly with Data. You didn't call him it, you called him him.
Yes. And
I think at one point he called him Data too, didn't he?
Oh, I can't remember that, but yeah.
Oh god, I can't remember that either, but I'm sure he did.
So, then they were back on the Enterprise, and Riker was standing for a window in the wedding room, and Data came in, and they talked, and Data told him, well, there's a celebration on the holodeck, so why don't you join us? And he said, well, I did this against you, and I didn't want to, but I did some nasty things to you, or blah blah blah. But I can understand that you don't want me to your celebration. And Data was very forgiving it, and
yeah.
This is also
He's like, no hard feelings, come on, let's go to the party. And I think Riker put his hand against his back, and Data practically did the same thing, I think. And they all both walked off.
Yeah, and I think you see how much Data value his friends.
Mm.
And I think I don't know if we see that in Picard with the sins as well, but this was also the end of the episode, guys. And let me check the IMDB rating. The IMDB rating is very high. It's a 9.1.
Wow, that is high. Well, it was a good episode.
It is a good episode, and sometimes, like I said, I missed something in being. They could have done more, but I will give it a 8.7. What would you give it, Amanda?
Yeah, I would basically give it the same 8.7 or about that. Yeah, I'm agreeing. They could have done more with the episode, but still, it was a really good episode.
It was a good storyline, and I think one of the theme of this episode is this: value your friendship with the people who are really true to you.
Mm.
And you could see Data is a android, a machine, and he had true friends on the Enterprise.
Oh yeah. Who does?
So, Amanda, is there something you'd like to add?
Well, like I said, it was a really good episode, and I agree. They should have had some more to it. And like we keep saying about certain people that need to be thrown out of an airlock half the time, Maddox was one of them at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Oh,
And,
pompous, arrogant little jerk.
He reminds me a little bit of Radek. You remember with the Parasite episode?
Oh yes, I remember that one. The bug guts.
Yeah.
Head explosions. Yeah, I remember that one.
Well, guys,
Pompous little jerk. That's what Maddox like.
Yep. And what I really liked also that at the end he backed down and he noticed that he went too far with it.
Yep.
But, well, guys, this was the end of the episode. Thank you for listening again. And next episode, of course, a Wesley Crusher episode, is the last episode of this season, guys. And then we're already making this podcast for more than 1.5 years.
Holy.
Time flies.
Yeah, does it ever?
So, guys, I wish you a very good night, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper, guys. See you in 2 weeks.
Dear listeners, thank you for listening. And join us in 2 weeks for a new episode recap. In the next episode, we will recap the episode The Dolphin. This episode will also be the last episode of this year. I also like to tell you about my other podcast called Orinda Talks. Orinda Talks is a podcast where I talk about books, movies, fandoms, and other geek things. You can find Orinda Talks on the YouTube channel or the Facebook group.